So guys, before we get started, don't forget we do have that amazing discount code thanks to Tier 0 Games going on right now. And all you have to do is put in ZWGames5 to get 5% discount on your total order at tier0games.com. The links will be in the description below. What's up YouTube, Dad here from Z4 Games, bringing you my favourite deck from Mystic Fighters, and that is Mathmech. Now, before we get started, please do hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell and give us a big thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. I'm also going to show you a nice 2-card OTK combo with the deck and kind of take you through exactly why I've decided to build the deck the way it is, the core cards of the deck and how it kind of resolves. So, without further ado, we're going to take you through the profile and then I'll show you the combo at the end. Now, Mathmech is all based off of, as they say, maths, so you'll have different cards like subtraction, division, multiplication. Alternatively, the reason I like it is Sigma and Magma just look like boss, like Gundam monsters, and I think they really look cool. So, let's get started. We play triple Mathmech subtraction. Now, this is basically a free summon if there is another monster on the field. So basically, you can target one face-up monster on the field. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except Cyverse monsters. And then you get to special summon this card from the hand. It cannot attack, and if you do, the targeted monster loses 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. Only use each effect once per turn. So it's a nice free summon that reduces the attack of a particular card. We'll then go with addition, which is the exact same, just with the opposite end effect. As its name suggests, you target one face-up monster on the field, again locked into Cyverse. You special summon this card from the hand, but that monster gains 1,000 attack. So it is on the field, so you can actually make your opponent's monsters lose or gain 1,000 should you absolutely have to. These are part of the 2-card combo as well to get you into the OTK. Ideally, you want to be subtracting their monster and then adding onto your monster from there. Then we play 3 of the other free summon, and that is triple Mathmech Sigma. Now, Mathmech Sigma basically allows you to special summon it for free if you control no monster in the extra monster zone. So again, this is another combo or another piece of the 2-card combo. So you've got a lot of consistent ways of getting into that combo. The only difference with this card is when it leaves the field, it gets banished instead, but it can be special summoned from the hand or graveyard, and you can only use one of this per turn. Then if you control if this card you control is used for synchro material, it can be used as a non-tuner if you have both the tuners on board. This is obviously one of the 2. We then get into the most important card of the deck that actually instigates the OTK, and that is Mathmech Nabla. Now, Nabla, you get to tribute one Cyverse monster, special on one Mathmech monster from your deck. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Cyverse monster you control in the extra monster zone. It can make up to 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase this turn. Only use the effect once per turn. So the idea is, Nabla tributes off a Cyverse monster and brings out multiplication. Now multiplication, you target a level 4 Cyverse monster you control, even itself, make it level 8. So Nabla being a tuner, multiplication being a normal, you actually make one of these an 8, it means you can go straight into Sigma. Sigma, then when these both have gone to the graveyard, becomes 6k and can attack twice. And Sigma's own effect, if it's in the extra monster zone, allows it to do double damage. So if you hit over something that is 2k, if you've already used Subtractor on it, for example, you're going to be going in for game. If not, because you've got Nabla, as long as they've got multiple monsters, you're still going to be able to kill the game off from there. This one is, if it's sent to the graveyard, like I said, target one Cyverse monster you control in the extra monster zone. Its attack becomes double until the end of the turn. You can only use 1 per turn. The reason I'm playing only 2 of this, sorry guys, is I want Nabla to be my normal summon. I don't want this to be in my hand. I want to be summoning this out from deck. It's rare that I actually want to summon it from hand, which is why I cut it down to 2. The exact same with Division. Now, Division is actually the opposite. This is more of a defensive play card. So you tribute one Cyverse monster you control in the extra monster zone, special summon up to 1 level 4 Cyverse monster each from your hand and graveyard. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one face-up monster on the field. Its attack becomes halved until the end of this turn. So this is a bit more of a recurrence card, a bit more of a late game card, but also with the spell card you can send it to the graveyard and actually halve one of your opponent's monsters during the damage step as well, which is great. But it also means that if you send this to the graveyard as part of maybe the additional combo or the starting combo getting into the XYZ, you do halve your opponent's monster's attack, and it near enough guarantees that Sigma is going to go into the OTK. We then play triple Balancer Lord. Now, the reason I put Balancer Lord in at the last minute, but Balancer Lord is actually very, very good for a going first play, and that is how you cycle through your Link Devotee and stuff like that. So once per turn, you pay 1,000 life points. During your main phase this turn, you can normal summon one Cyberse monster in addition to your normal summon or set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. And then, if this card is banished, you special summon one level 4 alarm monster from your hand. So it basically gives you 2 free summons, and you actually have the way with the extra deck of banishing this card to get the effect to go off and get you basically 2 additional summons on board. Now, like I said, he is better in... He still works for the rank 4 plays, and here's another way of getting into the combo. The only issue is you do use your normal summon on him. So in order to do the OTK combo with Balancer Lord, you actually have to get Balancer Lord, get the special summon, be able to banish him as well to get another special summon, or at least have 2 special summons, so you have that additional level 4 on board that you can tribute off with your Nabla. So keep that in mind. Balancer Lord is better for going first than it is going second, in my opinion, because you want to maintain your normal summon, but it is still very, very good and useful. Rounding up the monsters, we do play double Nibiru and 3 Kaiju. So I've got the Jizakuru, the Gamma-Seal, and the Kumongus. This is literally just to break my opponent's board. Ideally, these 5 cards could be anything you want. If you want to go more stun and play Imperms, Ashes, Veilers, Ogres, anything like that, by all means do so. They can either be Super Polys. My only issue is your boss monster wants to be in the extra monster zone. So you can't clog it up with Link monsters if you want to be going in for that OTK. Which means you'd have to go for an alternative version or an alternative route, which can easily be done. You go into like Borosword or you go into your Mech Knight Avaram, still make the Sigma. It just means you have to put more monsters on board, which means you're in threat of Nibiru yourself. Alternatively, this can become a weaker Kaiju as well. The only downside with the Kaijus is none of them are 2k or less. So by Kaiju-ing your opponent's monster, unless you boost your monster or reduce theirs, you're unable to finish off the game that way. Still, Kaijus are very, very powerful right now. It doesn't take up your normal summon. It can break certain boards. So like the Orcus board, when they require a Link monster on board to have their Crescendo live, you send that, get rid of their Crescendo if they've gone with that. If they've gone with Babel, you get rid of another alternative that slows them down. Strikers, you Kaiju them, the whole back row gets shut down. There's a lot to play around. And with Mathmech, the exact same as Crusadia, back row is a weakness. So these can easily become Twin Twisters or Red Reboots. I just feel that these are going to be more useful to me in any game that I play rather than the specific matchup. So if you're going to a regional and you're like, right, they're all going to have this, 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 and this, then you adapt these 5 cards to that matchup. Otherwise, these are the best generic ones. Nibiru can probably be taken out because most people are starting to play around it. But what I like to do is if I have Nibiru game 1, they don't expect it. You then beat their board with Nibiru, and then with your Mathmech, you actually have an easier way of getting rid of the token as well. Then once you've broken their board with a Nibiru, you can take it out turn 2 or go in games 2 and 3, because then they're going to start playing around it, and it puts them on edge a little bit more. Moving on to the most annoying and expensive card in the deck right now, and that is triple Signet Mining. So if you don't have access to Signet Mining or you want to make this budget, you can very, very easily put in Signet Backdoor as well. It's not as good as Mining. Mining is just your 6th version of Nebula, because you want to get it to the hand, but it can also send one of your others to the graveyard and then get their additional effects off from there. So this is something to keep in mind, that Signet Mining is very, very important, but there are alternatives if you want to go on a slower pace or you don't want to splash the money into the deck. Moving on, we play Triple Call by the Grave. You want your Nebula effect to be going off. That is how you get into OTK. 3 can be a little bit cloggy, so if you wanted to drop this to 2, no arguments there. It is currently a 41 card deck, so easily drop down if you need to. We then play Triple Mathmech, Billion Blade, Nayuta. Now this card's very, very good for the OTK potential as well. So you equipped it to a Cyberse monster. The equipped monster battles an opponent's monster during damage calculation. You can send one Mathmech monster from your deck to the graveyard. The equipped monster gains attack equal to that sent monster's attack until the end of this turn, even if this card leaves the field. If this card is sent from the spell and trap card zone to the graveyard, target one Mathmech card in your graveyard, accept itself, and add it to your hand. Only use each effect once per turn. So that is where you start sending division or you start sending multiplication, stuff like that, in order to boost up your monsters a little bit more and go in for additional OTK. This deck does need draw power, so I've gone with Desires. Desires can be a bit risky, but like I showed you, you only need ones of pretty much everything. And because you play threes of most things, the only damaging thing you can do is if you lose either all your nabblers or if you lose all your multiplications and divisions as well. So you've got to be very, very careful. Alternatively, you can play extravagance as well. We'll then play the one Mathmech equation. This is basically like a monster reborn. So you target a Mathmech monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and if you do, it gains 1,000 attack until the end of this turn. Only activate once per turn. It is searchable, but I have also put a monster reborn over a second one of these, just in case. It's very rare that you'll open up 2 of these, but if you do, it's a dead card, whereas if you open up 1 on 1, you still have extension plays to make. And then the one Foolish Burial, again, just to send your division or your multiplication to get that additional effect off should you desperately need it. I mean, if you opened up no way of getting multiplication to the board, or your opponent ashes it, but you still have a way of making the synchro. Make the synchro Foolish Burial, send multiplication, you're still going to get double the attack. And then finally, we've got triple Mathmech Super Fractional. I actually love this card. The only issue with this deck is because it is an OTK push deck, you could consider taking this out to focus more on OTK and then put this in for going first. So what it does is you target 3 Mathmech monsters in your graveyard with different names, then activate one of these effects. Special summon them, but their effects are negated. Then immediately after this effect resolves, synchro summon 1 Mathmech synchro monster using only those monsters and shuffle the materials into the deck rather than sending them to the graveyard. Or special summon them, but their effects are negated, and immediately after this effect resolves, XYZ summon 1 Mathmech XYZ monster, only use the effect once per turn. That is how you technically trish during your opponent's turn. And I will show you that show you that card once we get onto the extra deck. So that is it for the main deck. All quite straightforward and simple. Most of the Mathmech cards are quite easy to get, except for the XYZs from what I have seen. They are annoyingly short printed. But now moving on to the extra deck, I can show you exactly what we've got. Okay, so now onto the extra deck. We do play 2 YUGIOH Mathmech Final Sigma. This card looks amazing and is amazing. So it's 1 tuner plus 1 or more non-tuners, unaffected by a card effect except its Mathmech cards while in the extra monster zone. If this card is in the extra monster zone, battles an opponent's monster, any battle damage it inflicts to your opponent is doubled. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. Only use the effect once per turn. We then play double YUGIOH Mathmech Magma. 1 tuner, 1 or more non-tuners. When this card destroys an opponent's monster or destroys a monster by battle, target up to 2 cards your opponent controls, destroy them. If this card is destroyed by battle, or if this card in its owner's possession is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add 1 Mathmech spell and trap from your deck to your hand. You can only use each effect once per turn. Then you would play 2 of each of these. I just don't actually own 2 of each of these. Like I said, these were short printed, but once I get hold of 2 more, of course I will be using them. So you play Prime Mathmech Laplancia. 3 level 4 monsters. If a Mathmech card or card you control will be destroyed by a card effect, you can detach 1 material from this card instead. If this XYZ summoned card if this card is XYZ summoned, you can detach up to 3 materials from it, then choose that many effects. You cannot choose the same effect twice, and you resolve them in the order listed below, skipping the ones that were not chosen. So you send 1 random card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard, send 1 monster your opponent controls to the graveyard, send 1 spell and trap card your opponent controls to the graveyard. And use each effect once per turn. So you are tricking your opponent, non-target send. It is beautiful. And then your more defensive card, but this is part of the 2 card combo, is Prime Mathmech Albertarian. 2 plus level 4 monsters, ideally 2 is enough for this deck. You contribute 1 monster, special summon 1 level 4 Mathmech monster from your hand or graveyard. If this card is XYZ summoned, you can detach 2 to 4 materials from this card, then activate the appropriate effects. 2, add 1 Mathmech card from your deck to your hand. 3, add 1 level 4 monster from your deck to your hand. Or 4, add 1 spell or trap card from your deck to your hand. So there is a combo. Going first, if you put Imperial Order on here, you can actually add Imperial Order to your hand, and you can get the 4 materials on this. That is if you are definitely playing against strikers or something that will lose to Imperial Order outright. Otherwise, I wouldn't waste the resources to do something like that. Ideally, you just want to go for the 2 into this, detach, search your Nabbler, normal summon your Nabbler if you haven't already used your normal summon. If you have, as long as you've got another monster on board, use this effect to tribute it to special summon the Nabbler. Nabbler then tributes the other monster to bring out the multiplication, and that gets you into your Sigma. And that is obviously game. We then play Link Disciple, Link Devotee, and Link Wicket Kid alongside your Link Spider. So this is kind of your combo off of Balancer Lord. So this gets you going, brings you out your tokens, lets you build up the boards, let you draw into certain cards you want and extend. But like I said, I don't want to abuse Link monsters in this deck because I want my Sigma to be in my extra monster zone, so I do eventually have to clear them out of that zone. Then we just play the one Cerberus, the one Phoenix, and the one Mech Knight Avramax. This can easily be a Borosword if you want, but got to remember you do get locked into Cyverse at certain points. These are just to out tricky situations, and this is just to be an additional boss monster. So it can be any Link Monster 4 that you want. Ideally, your boss monster is going to be Sigma overalls. So that is it for the extra deck. Like I said, the only disappointing thing is I am missing 2 of the XYZs, 1 of each. So if you do get hold of those, they are the short print ones in my opinion. They will be the ones to kind of keep hold of and put straight into the deck. So that is it for the deck. I am now going to quickly show you the 2-card combo. Okay, so now I'm about to show you the simple 2-card combo that will guarantee the OTK. Well, not guarantee the OTK, depending on what your opponent has, will get you in the OTK position. Now, all you really need is 2 Mathmech monsters that can special summon themselves. So you've got your Sigma, you've got your Addition, or you've got your Subtraction as well. Alternatively, you could use Balancer Lord. Balancer Lord just means that you still have to have a little bit more extension to go off of. Let's say we've got Sigma and Subtraction. And then what you want to do is you want to special summon your Sigma, use Subtraction's effect to target Sigma to reduce him to 0, and then you've got your Subtraction. I'll put these over there so the light doesn't clash. So you put these 2 on board, then you overlay these 2, go into your Prime Math Arbitarian, use the effect of this to detach, to search out your Nabla. You then use your Prime Mathmech Arbitarian to tribute himself to revive 1. Now, because these went as material, or Sigma went as material, it doesn't get banished, which is great. So then what you want to do is you want to special summon your Subtraction or your Sigma, doesn't really matter. And then you get to normal summon your Nabla. Nabla then uses his effect to tribute off the Mathmech. Now, count them at the moment, because I believe we are on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 summons. So we are in Nibiru territory. There is a way that if you open up just like Nabla and another Cyverse, you can get into your OTK potential a lot quicker. So you special summon out your multiplication. Multiplication targets Nabla itself and makes it a level 8. Synchro these guys together. Go into your Sigma. Sigma is now sitting on 6k, can attack twice and will be doing double damage. So as long as your opponent's got anything of 2k or less, you attack, that is game. Now that is a way of searching out your Nabla on an extension way. Otherwise, if you do open up your Nabla, then you just need a Nabla and a special summon of some sort. Because then you just go, during your opponent's turn, special summon to reduce one of theirs, normal summon your Nabla, or vice versa. If your opponent doesn't have anything that you can really use and abuse, you normal summon your Nabla, Subtractor to reduce Nabla, Nabla then tributes off Subtraction, summons out a multiplication, you're now on 3 summons, multiplication target Nabla, sink into 4, there you go. Mathmech, not going to, got double attack, double damage, can attack twice, and is unaffected by monster effects, which is amazing. Oh, card effects, sorry, but in general. So again, which is amazing. And then he's going to swing in for game. Hopefully by game. You've got, if your opponent's only got 1 monster on board and it's more than 2k, fine. You're still going to leave them with very minimal damage. Not to mention if you have an addition in hand, or if you've got a subtraction that you've already reduced their monster by 1,000, they would have to technically be on 3,000 or more. There's a lot that you can kind of do in order to guarantee your OTK. So that is the OTK combo. The deck itself isn't built as a main deck, like all the going first cards are in the side deck, so I won't do the going first combo for that. I will do that at a later date once I have learnt it correctly and properly for you guys. Anyway, that is it for the Mathmech deck. There you go, just zoom that in a little bit more for you. I hope you liked it. I hope it's given you a couple of ideas on your own version, and I hope the combo kind of makes sense of exactly what the deck can do. So you can expect the certain plays it's going to make if you face this at locals, or if you face this at another event. like a higher level event, you know exactly what this deck is capable of, so be warned, they will try and OTK you. But yeah, if you want to build it, you can go for many different versions. I've seen more of a defensive version that uses like instant fusion and stuff like that. I've gone for an OTK version that relies on Sigma quite heavily, but there are alternative routes around that as well. But for now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and until next time guys, as always, happy dueling.